Top 10 tips, Diablo 4, Season 4. Let's speed through it. Let's go. Surviving. Your armor cap for Season 4 is going to be 9,230. Reach that number or maybe a little bit over, but always get to 9,230. That's the magic number for this season. That's going to cap your physical resistance to anything in the game. You're probably going to go over this if you have Juggernaut aspect on any of your gear, but 9,230, remember that number. Also, try your best to cap your resistances. Don't be like me here, especially if you're playing hardcore. Get these resistances maxed out. Also, if you're struggling with this, use potions and incense. This will help you survive in Season 4 and also give you a nice bit of XP boost to boot. Also, if you're having bad luck with item drops, if your levels 20 to 50, we're not going to be able to see it here, but if your levels 20 to 50 on transmutation, you should see a crafting, I believe it's called allowance caches. But from 20 to 50, if you have the resources, you can craft yourself any kind of legendary that you're looking for. It's going to be random, but it's a legendary. Also, if you reach World Tier 2, these caches will also be sacred as well. So if you're looking for a power spike, as soon as you enter World Tier 2, there you go. It's a quick way to also snag some aspects as well. Tip number 2, do not worry about min-maxing until late game. Almost any build will be fast enough if it makes sense. Now, what I mean by making sense is don't have a build where you're maxing out all of your basic abilities. That doesn't make sense. So, the normal route, put points into basic skills or one basic skill to generate resources for your core skills, etc., so on and so forth. It's not very hard. The tree system's really not that complicated. It may befuddle a few newer ARPG players, but it's really not that complicated. There's some more complicated builds down the line that may use, different things like this flay build, for instance. We don't even use a core skill, right? But that's more of a complicated build. For leveling, don't worry about anything. Enjoy your leveling experience, especially your first time through. Make your own build, see how far you can go. That's the fun of it all. If you're struggling, there's online resources such as Maxroll that are good enough to help you out in the leveling process. Now, once you reach late game, Maxroll guides are generally good enough to help you through most of the end game, but if you're looking for one-shot builds or things like that, there's plenty of specialized YouTube content just for that, especially for barbarians. All right. Tip number 3, rares in this game are practically useless. Don't waste your time on rares. At the beginning of the game, when you first start leveling up, yes, rares are great because you don't have access to legendaries yet. But once you begin to get legendary drops and whatnot, you don't want to worry about rares anymore. Literally, they are just fodder at that point. They're basically an income of gold or resources from breaking them down. Don't waste time on, is this yellow item good for me? No. Once you have legendaries, they're not. 99.9% of the time. The reason why is because legendaries now roll another affix instead of rares. As you can see here, these rares only have 2 affixes on them. Strength, critical strike chance. But if I got a legendary, and not counting tempering, the 2 anvil icons there, you have another roll of an affix here. So we have crit chance, crit damage, and health. That's why rares are completely useless this season. Don't worry about them. Speaking of tempering, let's get to tip number 4. Tempering is your new form of being overpowered in this game. If you go talk to the blacksmith of any town, they have a new tab called tempering. Now with this, you can do all kinds of things to your items. You need to learn the recipes first, though. They come in all sorts of flavors. There's blues, there's yellows, legendary / brownish color, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, the legendary color of these recipes are the best versions that you can get. Don't worry, if you find a good version, they're going to overwrite the worst version. So once you pick up the strongest version, you shouldn't see anymore now that they've fixed that. These recipes are forever. They're not a one-and-done thing. You can pretty much use them as much as you want to. This is particularly useful on alts, as you can throw some very overpowered stuff on your brand new characters.
Use it well.
Now, on the topic of overpowering a new character, let's talk about that. We have a level 7 character that we made. A brand new character has something around 80-ish life. Not much. It's something around that, though. It's like 80 to 100 health, depending on what early level you are. If you use tempering as soon as you snag a rare item, now, again, this is for alts, you can add so much health to this. So let's take a look here. So if we go to this blacksmith, go to tempering. Obviously, you're going to need some rare pieces first. I ended up spending a few ovals on getting all these rare pieces at level 7. But you can wander into Helltide and get the same outcome very easily. So what we're going to do here to become like stupidly strong, defensive-wise anyway, your defensive pieces are your head, your body, and your legs. Head, body, legs for health. So let's see here. We can click, put it on defensive. You go to worldly endurance and you're looking for maximum life. So you're going to roll this a few times. Hopefully you don't get dodge chance like we did. But you keep rolling it until you get max life. More dodge chance. Armor. Okay, the game doesn't want me to do this. But there we go. We got the lowest roll possible. But it's still... We started this with 115 health. We now have 466. You do the same thing on your body and the same thing on your legs. You can have so much health, you don't even have to think anymore. I'm not even kidding. Like, you can go stand in anything that you possibly want to. Here's another low roll, but again, it doesn't matter. We have literally like 8 times the health here. It's absolutely insane. Now, reminder again, this is on an alt. This isn't on going to be your first character, but once you have these tier 4 recipes, leveling an alt is the most brain dead thing in the game. Now, this doesn't only work for defensive pieces. You can put some things on your... Oh, we didn't even get a health roll in there, but that's fine. You can go to your weapons. Now, remind you, at lower levels, you can only temper one thing. You can't do weapons and offensive here, so you have to make a choice. But typically speaking, the things that's going to pop off the most is Elemental Surge. Your lucky hit's not going to be the greatest, but when this goes off, anything that you hit from levels 1 to, I don't know, 40 or something, if this procs, that's going to kill it more than likely. Our damage doesn't, like, just to put it in perspective, our Pulverize currently at level 7 does 115 to 140 damage, okay? And this is 4,000 to 8,000. Again, this is on an alt. This is on, you know, a character after we've gotten the legendary recipes, but this is an option for leveling alts very, very strongly. Now, tip number 6 is another tip for tempering. Level multiple classes. I'm not even kidding. Level multiple classes. So we're going to use our Barbarian, for example. We're looking to raise his crit hit strike. Or crit hit damage, I'm sorry. Right now, we can raise that through regular affixes, but if we want to temper critical strike damage, we can't actually do that on our Barbarian. There's nothing here for doing something like crit strike damage. Well, so what do we do in that situation? All right. We just so happen to have a rogue leveled up. So get yourself an item. We're going to use this item as an example here. These 3 swords right here. One of these 3 swords, I want to have crit strike damage as a tempered affix on there, right? Since we can't do it on a Barbarian, we put these items in our storage, log out, log into our rogue that we have leveled up. Now, obviously, you don't have to max it to 100. You just need the legendary recipe. But you log into your rogue, go to the tempering, or go to your stash first, get the weapon that you want out. We're just going to pick this one and hope we don't brick it. Go to the tempering person. Use this sword. That's our Barbarian sword. Go to offensive. And if we look under marksman finesse, you can see right there, we can roll crit strike damage on this weapon, put it back into our stash, and give it to our Barbarian. Suddenly, we can temper critical strike damage. Now, this is just one example. This is something a lot of players actually don't know about. So take into effect that this is just one example. There's many different things that you can do. I don't know of all of them, but this is the one that's most important to me because I want crit strike damage on my weapons for my barbarian. We got marksmanship damage on this one. We'll see if we don't brick this one first. Let's keep trying. Come on. Marksmanship damage again. That's the risk here. Obviously, we're rolling this for a barbarian, so if anything marksman related or rain of arrows related rolls, we can't get crit strike damage, and we've essentially like bricked the item. So that's the biggest drawback here. But as you can see, we got a pretty low roll, but we did get crit strike damage. So let's just imagine that's a perfect roll in a perfect world. We put this weapon back into our stash, log back into our barbarian, and voila, we suddenly have critical strike damage on our barb in a tempered roll. This is how you're going to see some builds, like the Flay build, for example, start taking off. See, now we can put this on our barbarian. There you go. There's your tip number 6 for tempering. Now, tip number 7 is just talking about XP in general. So if you go out in the Helltides, this is going to be a great area to start your leveling experience. You're going to get plenty of drops, and that's kind of what Helltide is useful for here. Early leveling and early drops, and even drops later on are great as well. But to speed this process up, start using these things called profane mine cages. This will increase Helltide monsters by 10 and also increase your cinder drop rate, which is the very important thing. This will allow you to pop more chests, get more gear, etc., etc. But the fastest way to actually level in this game right now, once you get to World Tier 3 and beyond, is just live in Nightmare Dungeons again. It doesn't take very long. Eventually, Nightmare Dungeons is just the way to go. Clicking on everything, hope that it's cursed. We're talking health wells, all shrines or splendid chest, events, etc. These all lead to massive XP gains, and you're going to be also leveling your glyphs as well. So that's a necessary chore that you can knock out at the same time. So these things are important to know, though. Helltides does have a big place in Season 4 for leveling up. It's just, it gets outshone by Nightmare Dungeons a bit later on, sadly. Also, once you're level 82, another big tip as well for players. This is same tip number 7. Once you're level 82, popping a profane mine cage, every item in Helltide will suddenly drop for 925, the max item level. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people think that you can't find max level stuff except from world bosses, etc. You can find max level items as long as you pop a profane mine cage at level 82 in World Tier 4 in Helltide. Everything will drop 925. Now, also, speaking more on XP and even more so on survival, make sure that you're stacking your potions. This is tip number 8. Incense gives you a bonus of 5% XP. Now, if you read the tooltip here, incense types don't stack. The experience points do not stack, but you can wear a type 1, a type 2, and a type 3 incense, and you get all of the buffs that you're looking at here. You just don't get the XP stackage. Obviously, Chorus of War is a level 100 type 3 incense. It's the only one. So for your first leveling experience bit, it's going to be type 1 and type 2 incense that you're looking at. Another thing to look at is this, the Elixir of Anti-Venom. A lot of players still don't know that you can stack 2 potions. As you can see right here on my bar, I have max life and poison resistance increase as well as max life increase. What I have stacked currently are these 2 potions. Anti-Venom and Elixir of Fortitude. Now, typically when you go to your Alchemist, if you have not done this quest yet, your Alchemist won't have this option. Now, I will show you where to do the quest to get the quest Elixir here. For the Elixir of Anti-Venom. This is the one that will stack with any other potion in the game, also Incense. So, what you're going to want to do, you're going to go to Gaicol, I don't know how to say this name, but you go to this town in the southwest. It's the port city here. You're going to go to the bar that's next to the stables. And I believe this quest hasn't been done on this character, but if you do it on one character, it's unlocked for everyone. Go to Baram here. Talk to him. Yeah, talking about offering work, yada, yada. Pinch of Poison is the quest that you're going to want to do. Now, what this quest involves is to go around and kill scorpions in the northern regions here. Now, you're going to want to get 15 scorpion venom glands and then come back to said fellow here, and you will be done with the quest, and the option will be available to you. Now, this is a great item for survivability, and it's also a great item for XP because you get a bonus 8%. Since we're talking about XP right now, this will give you an 8%. Your other potion will give you another 8%, and one incense will give you another 5%. Stack these together. That's a nice little chunk of change, all right? Also, if you want to add that together with your season blessings, you can even earn another 20% on top of that. So the way to level 100 this season is actually super, super fast. So if you haven't been stacking potions, stack your potions. Now, another quick tip, if you're low on materials for potions or incense, you can actually get free incense buffs if you hang out long enough in Saragar. If you don't know where Saragar is, it's just northwest of Kiovashad, all the way up here in Skoskland. It's kind of the main city here, Saragar. If you hang out in Saragar long enough, you're going to have plenty of players. This is where the pit is activated. It's particularly in World Tier 4, I believe is the only way you can probably get these buffs. But folks in World Tier 4 are going to be popping incense before they go into their pit. And what this means for you is if you're standing around any of this circle AoE right here, you're going to get that XP buff for free. And most of the time, if people are pushing high-level pits, they're popping 3 incense. So you're going to get the XP bonus on top of whatever 3 incense that they pop, or 2 incense that they pop, and it's just free buffs for leveling. So there's a nice little quickie. And last but not least, tip number 10, Iron Wolf reputation grinding. If you're struggling to find that one uber unique that eludes you, like us, it's the Shaco, you can actually just craft them with resplendent sparks. So if you look under stats and materials and your materials here, you should see how many resplendent sparks that you currently have or don't have. We currently have 2. You need 4 to craft a free uber unique, or it's not technically free, but it's one of your choosing. And this is one way to get uber uniques if you're just down on your luck and RNG's beating you up really badly. Now, talking about Iron Wolf reputation grind, here's a quick way to farm these sparks, especially if you love leveling alts. So once you've fully rep grinded out, you're going to get a free resplendent spark here, right? Well, let's say you need 3 more, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to get an alt, like literally a level 1 alt. You're going to plant it inside of a Helltide region. Whatever region is active, that's where you're going to go. Particularly speaking, you want to catch a Helltide right when it starts, because this is kind of a process. But park your new alt inside of a town that is surrounded by Helltide regions, or else this probably won't work. There's chances of it not working. So, plant an alt, brand new character, inside of a Helltide region. Then log on to your main character. For us, it would be this character. And go just smash as many monsters and collect as many cinders. Pop a profane mine cage. That way you get more and more cinders. And once you get, I don't know, 700 to 1,000 cinders, swap to your World Tier 2 character, and those cinders should still be there. Now, on this new character, all you're going to do is run around and collect chests in Helltide. This is going to net you upgrades. This is going to net you reputation with the Iron Wolves. For every chest that you pop, you are going to get 100 rep. Now, if you have the earn for Iron Wolf reputation grind, you're going to get 120 rep. So, this is a way for your main character to still get items while collecting cinders, and then also gearing up and leveling, because every time you pop a chest, you get a chunk of XP, leveling an alt and gearing out an alt at the same time as raising their Iron Wolf rank. Once that character reaches max Iron Wolf rank, you're free to either delete that character, make a new one, and do it again, or if you're just leveling that alt because you want to keep it, there you go. You just got your reputation grind done very easily. This is a nice way to get resplendent sparks. If you haven't been doing it, you should be doing this. And with that, that's it. That's my top 10 picks for, or top 10 tips for folks in Season 4. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I plan on having a brand new player guide to Diablo 4. So if you're brand new to Diablo 4 in general, like you've never touched an ARPG, a video is in the making for this week to release for you, and we will discuss all basics and everything you need to know to get started in Diablo 4. If this video helped you out, click a thumbs up and a subscribe if you feel like I've earned it. And if you're looking for fellow players to enjoy Season 4 with, stop by our Twitch channel. We mostly play hardcore, but we do have a lot of softcore players as well. And hey, the more the merrier, right? Links are going to be in the description and comments below. That's all of our tips for today. Stay safe, take care, and don't forget to pet the kitty.
Greetings.
If we could showcase it. They're cute. Come on.